Hello, everybody. This is Puppeting here on I Love Puppets, and I am today with the real Dr. Venkman. Say hello, Venkman.
Hello, Venkman.
Oh, it's good to see you, Venkman. Today, we are here to talk about episode 4, the real season premiere of The Flash. And I'm going to keep referring to it as such because last week we dealt with all the mirror stuff, and this is recuperating. The city's kind of in a mess because of the whole Mirrorverse situation.
Mm-hmm.
Iris in this episode, she is following a Mirrorverse support group. For some reason, she has Allegra, her intern, reading her article and proofreading her article and just taking it straight off the bat. Even though Allegra does have some good points, because apparently she's not talking about her experience in the Mirrorverse when she was the first person pulled in. Barry in this episode,
mm-hmm.
he's just dealing with the fact that he was getting tricked. We have Abracadabra, who shows up from the future, and he's doing this whole obelisk thing to make antimatter, and
Yes.
he designs an antimatter bomb. He wants to destroy the city because before Crisis, he apparently had a family. He found good in him and had a family, a wife, a son. And Barry figures that out because he says, "You took everything from me." And most of the time it is, to be fair, Barry's fault. He is the one who keeps messing with the timeline. But not this time. But Barry doesn't make that clear. He just instead says, "Oh, we've all lost people in the Crisis event, but these people wouldn't want you to do that." And they stop Abra from destroying the city. Then this Hulk person comes in and faces them, because last time we saw the colored lightning going throughout Central City. And this Hulk-looking creature comes down and throws the Flash away, and then kill Abra, trying to defend the Flash, who he's now kind of forgiven, ends up dying from Hulk person. And I'm pretty sure the Hulk person picks up Flash and just breaks his back, but he has speed healing.
It's revealed that after this whole event, he said, like, it's Iris is talking. He's like, "You're right." He's like, it's like ever since I was reconnected to the Speed Force, I'm faster and I heal faster now. This character at the end, for those who don't know who this is, this Hulk thing, I think, was a horrible rendition of Joshua Williams' character created. Her name's Frieza. Ferreira. That's what her name is, or Furizera, or whatever. Anyway, she's from some small little country where and in Joshua Williams' run, which is 58 through 63, the storyline takes without the Speed Forces, because there's 4. We just got introduced to the Strength Force. The fact that she's in Central City, I have no idea why, because in the comics, Barry goes to find the other forces. He has to, because they released. Because that's what we saw in the previous episode. When we saw the different colored lightning bolts going out and releasing energy, we saw that out of when he got his powers back. So you're seeing the Strength Force coming back here now, for whatever reason. Because I was surprised. I was wondering how they're going to do this, because she was a freedom fighter going against a corrupt government in another third world country. So she got this. Basically, what her power was, she has strength, like Hulk-like strength, but she doesn't turn into the Hulk though. She's more like Gina Carano. But so I was surprised that this is what they're going to go with her being like this and then absorbing the antimatter thing, which made Agadabra piss his pants. But I was surprised, like they gave him, this is a guy who basically killed someone in the beginning of the episode because he's got new memories because of post-crisis, and he revealed that he had a family before this and they were taken away. So his whole thoughts was, I am going to destroy Central City. And Flash figures this out after it was revealed that Cisco found a memory drive there that basically Cisco had developed to give people their memories. And so he finds out that this guy had a family before this, and Flash basically doing what he does. Remember, he's a paragon of heart, of feelings. Yep. He basically goes and he talks this guy down. He's like, you know what, destroying this is not going to bring them back. And what would they want you to think? Would you be like, do you think they'd like you for this? If knowing that you killed thousands of people, just to get them back, the fact you can't even get them back. You've never run the calculations. He's like, yeah, and he says, like, I admit, like, there's no calculations where they come back. And I like how after Flash gets knocked back by this creature, he's like, you know what? He heroes up, which is so ironic. I mean, they're giving a redemption path. So, but I mean, his character killed someone without care, and then all because he wanted to destroy Central City, and it was kind of a weird arc to have him do a redemption path. But the thing is that. Is it really a redemption path if he's dead? Because we don't know. As far as I know, they didn't show him being taken away or going back to the 61st century, where he's from, or 64th, something like that. So yeah, it's interesting to see what they're going to do with the next episode because as being a comic book fan, they're taking this from Josh Williams' run, and again, issues 58 through 63 of last year's run that ended. So I'd recommend you check those out because this is the Strength Force, as I believe. There's going to be a Sage Force and there's a Still Force. We've already seen the Still Force. You better remember the first season. There's a character named Turtle, and in the comics, Gorilla Grodd is also used the Still Force as well. So I'm wondering which direction they're going to go with.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm interested in seeing. Well, we have some people in the comments. I'm going to say hello. There's Maranya. Will this be done in a flash? I don't know. We've made good time. We've explained basically all that happens. And we'll see. We'll see. We're still going to be talking about a little bit. Tillium says Flash versus Flash Gordon. I bet that's a hard one. Malik says this episode was dope. Listen, last week when I was talking about the Flash, I was very bothered by that episode, and I'm still not going to say it's a good episode. I am not satisfied with it.
I actually enjoyed this episode a lot. Like I said, being a person who's like anybody who's watched or read a book and then sees a movie, they always mess it up. So I expected this. I'm just curious what the reason is they're turning this normal girl she was Hispanic or Latino into a Hulk-like creature. She looks like I just watched the 1995 version of Mortal Kombat, and he just gave her two other arms, and she looks like that creature, that just crushes everybody with the ponytail. The guy, you might as well just do that because this was bad. It's like I don't want She-Hulk in like the Flash.
Hey. Original She-Hulk does not deserve that shade.
I'm just saying, current She-Hulk looks like Hulk. And I don't want them doing that to another character who I thought was actually really cool. Because she turns out to be a good person.
Does this make this the first Marvel DC crossover on screen?
Well, was she green? I remember she was wearing a purple outfit, though, which is kind of
She's
funny.
in a purple outfit, and she's kind of pale. But I'm pretty sure modern She-Hulk does look like Hulk, but she also has that one long tail along the back.
Yeah,
for her hair. Yes.
But I am interested to see what they're gonna do because I'm glad the whole Mirrorverse crap is done because that was a disaster.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And it was a very anticlimactic ending too. Because now it's just 2 for 2. Now we got villains who just kind of like, I'm going to sacrifice myself to save everybody else. It's like, that only works if you're doing it with Leonard Snart. Leonard Snart and Barry have under your standing. Leonard's not a killer. These other people are killers. So why are they all of a sudden like becoming heroes? Or not heroes, but we were getting redemption. I mean, I understand they want to do that, but there's got to be it's like Superman saying like, you don't want to do this. You're right. I'm going to become a redemption arc. I don't want Darkseid becoming, nice.
Well, I don't think it's that case. Abra realized that.
Well, that's why.
And in that moment, he was taking a heroic moment to try to defend the Flash.
So maybe that's why Darkseid's so angry all the time. If Superman can get this, hey Barry, come in. You can just talk to him. I'm gonna be a hero now. I'm no longer gonna be a villain, even though I've killed millions of people.
Just hug it out, man.
Right?
Yeah. No, I get that. I'm a little tired of this Paragon of Love thing. Honestly, the Flash should be facing villains that need to actually have somebody to go get them. We don't need villains who just need a therapist.
And I don't mind if he talks to them, but I also like them when they still ignore him, because that'd be more risk. Like, there's going to be ones that are not going to care. They're going to do what they want to do, and that's it. And sometimes, like, you have to go against. It's like, it's kind of like, it goes back to the Man of Steel movie where it was going against Zod. Yeah, he snapped his neck. Did he have to snap his neck? No, obviously, because if they would have been more like comics, he could have put them into the fandom zone. Flash has his own thing, basically, where it was just kind of illegal if you think about it. He just locks them away inside the thing, the metas.
Do they ever get fed? Do they have a toilet? I don't see one.
When Barry was in there this past season, was there was a bed in there? I think that's it. And they gave him a sink to wash his hands.
He gets a bed. Just pee in the sink, Barry. It's okay.
But the water has to come in somehow. It's like it's a dampening for their powers. I'm thinking, why don't they just use the sink or the water to short circuit everything out there and just get their powers back? It's just confusing how that whole works. But anyway, like I said, I've been enjoying this show. Wasn't much Iris. I mean, it started off, but Iris she has PTSD, and she didn't want to admit it.
It ends with her giving a whole speech to the Mirrorverse support group.
Only because she saw what Barry did, how Barry talked this guy down. Barry inspired her to do it.
He's very inspirational.
So what we learned in the Arrowverse, Barry is inspirational. Superman, not so much.
Superman is dealing with 2 teenage boys, sir.
I don't have time to be an inspiration.
Threat to society.
No, but like I said, I want to know what's going to go on because, they tease in the comics, if they go around the same comics route, they tease that these 4 forces were basically meant to be a force and team up and to keep this evil dark force in check. Now, I can't remember in the comics what they said what the Dark Force was, what they were going to battle against. But having basically the Speed Force we already have, that's one. And you have the Strength Force, which is introduced. There's still the Sage Force. Now, my thoughts is like if they go back to Gorilla City, there's got to be a Gorilla City though, because remember all the Earths merged. So is there not a Grodd City on this Earth that they're on? That'd be cool. Make more sense. Remember, they're all one world.
Yeah. I want. No, Gorilla City should definitely be there. For everybody wondering what is showing up on your screen, Tillium is saying that they did a live stream movie review today, and they are such a faithful viewer. I want to go ahead and make sure that you go ahead, check out Tillium, and see his review of. Is it Justice League?
I assume he's talking about that.
Okay, then
it's not a Flash movie, so it must be Snyder Cut. I'm assuming.
So after you watch that review, come and watch our review of the Snyder Cut. All right, and I'll put that down.
Which is also on the channel here too. You can also click whenever you want to. Yeah. So
There's only one more major thing to talk about, and it's going to be a very complicated thing for the show, I think.
The new threat?
There
was something. I'm trying to figure out what it was. I was looking on the internet. I couldn't find it, but it in the episode, Abracadabra says something like, he says that there's an oncoming threat that, that we know about, and it wasn't Strength Force. There's something else is coming after him.
The future. Something in the future.
Something in the future again. So I'm like, really? We just got another thing about the future again. It's like, no matter what Barry does, the future gets messed up. And yeah, I don't know. So now if this guy is dead in the future, or dead, he's from the future, if he's dead now, Abracadabra, did he change it so that they're not enemies in the future now, because Barry, the past version now, is gonna have did they just remember what's the rules of time travel? You don't go back to the past, you don't mess things. So Abracadabra created a flashpoint.
to be fair, he's from the 64th century. I don't know how the Flash could make it to the 64th century.
Well, like I said, the whole flashpoint. Remember when Barry went back in time, he did stuff. Remember even when the whole thing with Savitar, he went to the future and he said, "Do not do anything. You can mess up time. If you do anything, interact with stuff." That's the one thing. This guy came back and he's just, I'm just going to end everything. I'm like, you idiot! If you destroy Central City now, you destroy you probably in the future. And it's like, to be fair, he was suicidal. He's like, he didn't care, whatever. He was gonna blow up with enough, just take out the whole entire city with his little wand. And I'm kind of sad that this character is now kind of like, I hope he's not dead. They didn't say, they kind of implied he's just laying there on like a tombstone. I was just like, really? Like, he just killed. He was a fun character. It's like, I miss, like, one of the characters I missed from the Arrow show was Count Vertigo and all these other characters.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that he is dead, unfortunately, but they said he died a hero, and so, I guess that one life that he took in this episode is.
But that's the one thing the show is missing, though, is actually villains.
Yeah.
I noticed that. It's just becoming, now they're introducing the other characters. I understand that, but did you tell me the Rogues are pretty much disbanded?
Yeah.
Just because Mick and Leonard went on to, like, the other show, Golden Glider, and Weather Wizard are just no longer threats anymore.
Well, Weather Wizard was
Trickster
killed by Weather Witch, I believe.
Yeah. So where's she then?
That's a good question. She was in the Crisis event for half a minute, but they were handled quickly. They do need more villains. They need to bring the villains back.
I want Reverse Flashback. I'm sorry. I don't care if he's he's whatever they did the show. I don't care. Reverse Flash is always, whenever he appeared on the show, he made the show 10 times better because there actually was a legit threat. And like I said, like, I love the fact that he's able to go toe to toe with Barry and outsmart Barry. But Barry, it got the point where Barry, remember, he got the extra speed boost. He was able to catch up with them. There's no Wally, so he's just back to being him by himself. With now we have Vibe back. I wonder why they brought Vibe back.
Well, it's Mecha Vibe, so his gauntlets.
The gauntlets.
He used to be able to.
Like, and now we should talk about the preview for next. Now, I guess next week, because we're going Flash next week. I guess because Superman's on hiatus till May 18th. So.
I don't want it.
To be fair, Melissa Benoist was on maternity leave. That's why the show is airing later now than before it popping up before. That they had to push it back. So, but now that she's back, sorry, little cousin, I'm the star. You gotta go. Remember, she's the better one. Clark's own words. But anyway, I want to talk about the preview for the next episode of The Flash. I guess it's just
Go ahead.
My train of thought here, Brody. The preview for the next Flash. What did they now? See, now you're just ruining my train of thought. At the end of the episode, they showed what did they
Caitlyn.
show? Oh yeah, Caitlyn's now. That was the other small side plot they had going through this. Caitlyn was having a headache, and Cisco did a run, for Ross, and and he said and she's like, "What's wrong with me?" He's like, "Everything's wrong with you," and she's like, "What? I'm just kidding with you." I love that Cisco just kind of gave her a mini heart attack.
Mhm.
At the end of this episode, those are they actually wasn't the end of this episode. It was next week's the preview. They show that they both split. So now Killer Frost and Caitlyn are now two separate beings. And I'm thinking, we've seen this before with the Hulk and Bruce Banner. They start dying if they're not merged.
I don't know about that because the whole thing was that she was having a headache, and so Caitlyn basically Athena'd her out right out of the head. Boop.
But I think the problem is that remember Crisis. You can't have two in the same spot. You can't have two of the same.
At the same time, this isn't a crisis-related event. So this headache, we don't know exactly what, but it has caused Frost to gain her own physical form. And these aren't the same. These aren't the same people. They're two different identities. And
which is weird compared to Earth 2 or Earth 3 or whatever they're on with Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
That was remember that was just, there wasn't Caitlyn and Killer Frost were the same person. There was no separate consciousness. They did that for the show for whatever reason because they wanted to make Caitlyn Snow a hero, which I always said it was a bad thing, because I would have rather had Killer Snow being Killer Snow. I liked it when she's a bad person, and to me it makes her character much more interesting. Because if we don't have Captain Cold on the show, we should have a cold villain still.
Well, if they separated them, if something happens to Killer Frost.
Well, I have a theory about that. If they're separated, what if Killer Frost lost her conscience? Her conscience was Caitlyn.
Ooh, that could be good.
The good from the bad? And then we just get rid of Caitlyn.
No, Caitlyn's a member of Team Flash. Speaking of Team Flash, I think Chester is really fitting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like interactions between him and Cisco.
It feels like they got him to replace Tom Cavanaugh. That was their goal. They wanted to get somebody else in there so they could have someone who can nerd out with Cisco. With Cisco. The only problem is he looks like such an idiot compared to Cisco and everybody else. He just the weird, awkward jokes. And then this is the guy who discovered a black hole technology or something like that. A wormhole.
He was basically like a black hole figure himself. He caused black holes to appear all over town. Remember?
Yes. So, like I said, his character was also a villain in the comics, so he's now a hero in this show.
Yeah, you know what's weird? I'm trying to remember the preview for next week, but I can't. I don't remember exactly what they showed.
I just remember they're showing Caitlyn and Snow and Killer Frost being separated.
The end of the episode was Caitlyn walking in. Cisco, there's a situation.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Frost walks in, hey.
Yeah.
But I don't remember exactly what we're going to be focusing on next week. I imagine we're still going to get progression with this, with these extra forces going around. We have a threat for the future that's going to be coming eventually. That'll make the Flash obsessed with the future. Other than that, I really don't know. We really slowed down. This is them collecting themselves after the effects of that terrible Mirrorverse arc.
Oh, that's what it is. The next episode is called Fear Me. It's supposed to be a no powerful villain, channels and amplifies everyone's fears in order to wreak havoc in Central City. And Barry is like he must face his own worst fear in order to beat this new threat. So they didn't really reveal who the enemy is, but they're in like a nightmare. Everybody's fears are being. I'm like,
oh right.
So you know what I'm thinking that is? That's the Sage Force. The Sage Force has power over the mind.
Maybe. And you know what? I'm excited. For the first week, since the Flash has restarted, we had 3 weeks of an arc that I did not care about, that just felt off. It was hard to watch. but we got through it, and I think we're actually going towards somewhere interesting.
Like I said, I'm wondering who the big old bad's going to be, though. One thing, because if they go with that plot, because I'm curious, because we have the 4 forces. We have the Speed Force, with Strength Force, the Still Force, and the Sage Force. It's the Still Force, for those, I can't remember if I've already said that, Still Force was the Turtle from the first season. If they bring him back, the Turtle was a major threat to the Flash, because he cancels the opposite of him. And the Strength, is was supposed to be this little anarchist freedom fighter girl who's fighting for her village, small people, trying to keep them from the corrupt government in Morocco, I think it was, or somewhere that's or Maricopa or something like that. Anyway, and then there was the Sage Force, who he was on. I forgot what island or city he was on, but I remember Flash had to go undercover with Iris, as they had to go as villains. That was probably the best issue in one of the comics, and that was hilarious because they're undercover trying to find the Sage Force. And on this island was all of Flash's freaking villains. Every single one of them was there, and they're like, crap. So Flash knocked out 2 of his villains, and him and Iris dressed up as the villains. Only at the end of the issue they get exposed, and they're like, crap, what do we do now? So obviously they're not going to do something like that. They don't have the budget to bring everybody back like that. But then again, with Arrow being gone, they got the big budget now. Flash is the bigger show. Well, not really bigger show, but it's like the Arrowverse. Black Lightning is kind of like the second or D-list show, I guess, right now. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying I don't watch it, but I don't see it as getting as a huge fan base as a Flash or Supergirl. Even though Supergirl is kind of like hard to watch for me. It's not, like I said, the reason people do not have a problem with Supergirl is because the fact that what they try to do is they try to put real world politics into it, like guns were bad in one of the seasons, or the wall, building a wall to keep aliens out, and I was like, I understand that the writers didn't like President Trump. That's cool, but why does it have to be in a show where we're trying to escape reality? That's one of the reasons I don't like stuff with comics like that either. I just want to read about superheroes being superheroes. I don't need to have real world issues put into my comics.
And last season was an example of just ridiculous angles, because while they're saying that while they have Kara, who is a journalist, going out there, they are trying to say that VR technology is bad because it will cut you away from reality. I'm a little confused about exactly how they think technology has reached that point to where the
whole point of that, I thought Leviathan was using the technology basically which is kind of like them like making fun of themselves. Remember, this is what writers do, because the how people say that the news controls the narrative. Well, the VR controls the narrative, what you think and what you do. People would rather just give up their free will and just do that, give up their identity. And that's kind of what, so that's not saying, they're kind of saying that you shouldn't listen to the news and stuff. You should do what you own do. You should be your own person. It's okay to feel your emotions. Shut up. It's like
they're kind of weird angle for them to take. But you know what? We'll discuss that more when we talk about Supergirl.
Yeah. But
next Tuesday. But you know what? We're having a kind of interesting plot going on the Flash, at least. So we have that to push us through until the best show on the CW right now, Superman and Lois, return.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited for the Sage Force, and I'm also curious to see who's going to have the Still Force. If they can bring back the Turtle, or are they going to have Gorilla Grodd using the Still Force? Because both have used it in the comics. Or is it going to be a totally new character? I would prefer to be at the Sage Force being controlled by either Gorilla Grodd using the Sage Force. Remember, he's a telepath.
Turtle doesn't get enough love. I think Turtle would.
Turtle. Well, yeah, for the Still Force, yes. And he was I couldn't believe how powerful they made him in Josh Williams' run because the Turtle's been around before, but he was a real threat to Barry. You know, he just canceled out Barry's powers. And then you had Josh Williams' run. He brought back a turtle from the future, was teaming up with the turtle from the present. They're working to go
Double
against
turtle action is where it's at.
And will we see Godspeed? I wonder if Godspeed's going to show up because Godspeed was just like the other Flashes, got his powers from a lightning storm. Speeds that cause other people and Godspeed, for those who don't know what, was created by Josh Williams in the early run, his 2019 run. This character was a cop. He ended up getting speed powers, and he ended up using his speed abilities to basically murder people, get revenge, because someone he loved got hurt, and he used it, get revenge, and Barry had to take him down.
That's typically the way it goes.
Because if you're not,
ever actually get an end to the Godspeed situation they had last season?
Well, the thing is that Godspeed was a fake out. The one they had here, it was Savitar.
Yeah.
That was a fake out. That turned out to be that was Flash. That was Barry Allen. A copy of him was Savitar.
Yeah, that's a different arc. I was talking about when they had the guy in the Godspeed costume. They had like 15 of them or something, and it wasn't.
That one. Yes, I mean that was a copy. I can't remember what that was supposed to be. I have to go back and look, but like I said, I hope they bring in Godspeed into this because Godspeed would be cool just to have. Because if you're not going to Reverse Flash, give me Godspeed, and if you want to have Godspeed after that, you can bring Reverse Flash in. Just working because
this brings up an interesting point because I remember it was about season 3, and a major complaint was that the fact that the main season villains were all speedsters, so it was just Barry facing other speedsters, and that was the problem. I didn't agree with that.
The problem is with the Flash is that they brought the Rogues in for like 3 episodes and got rid of them.
Yeah,
that was a problem because Leonard Snart is like Captain Cold is like the main villain of the Flash. Other than there was always the Rogues, and then you had the El Flash. Those are the main ones, and Gorilla Grodd. Those are the big ones you had. So having them together, you could have the way Josh Williams did. He went to going to the future, the 31st century or 31st century, whatever they're from, 25th century. There was another set of Rogues. These were good people taking up the persona of the Rogues and using it as a just way, the new superhero team, changing it. And they had Captain Cold from the future come back with Barry to the past. And it was kind of cool to see that. I would love to see the Rogues come back in any form whatsoever.
So it leads to an interesting question, because one of the major things about The Flash was how connected it was to the multiverse at large. It was the show that was connected to the multiverse. You had this version and this version and this version.
Yep.
Now there's not a multiverse.
Yep.
So taking a look back, going into a time travel angle, where he's basically a time traveling superhero. Well, not just solely. He is a speedster, but him using time travel to bring in new villains, it's an incredibly smart move, because that's how you have different versions of characters. You have copycats who can exceed the previous forms. My
only problem with CW is making Oliver Queen the Spectre and then having him go to heaven with Felicity and everything. So he's no longer. There has to be a Spectre. There's always has to be in DC. It's a balance of power. There has to be a Spectre. It's there's other villains. So well, obviously they're not going to have him come back. I'd rather have somebody else come back. They were setting up a Spectre for the Constantine show, which was back with Matt Ryan. They actually had the detective, Corrigan, and they were gonna have him, become the Spectre. Everybody knew that, and then the show got canceled. So I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't have someone else take on that role other than Oliver, and have that being a recurring character, maybe coming on the Legends of Tomorrow, or if they give Matt Ryan his own show. The only way you're going to see this, because I'm saying right now with all the shows being canceled, Arrow's gone, Supergirl's ending, we have Superman and Lois. Why don't they do a Constantine show? Supernatural's done. People, they go big, a huge following Supernatural had. If you could just do the Constantine show, put it on there, you'd have that group of people that are watching Supernatural would tune over to watch Constantine. Because we want the dark, gritty Supernatural without the supernatural creatures. We want a guy chain smoking, he's drunk, pissing in a pot, and they're like, yeah, I'll be right there. We want
I don't
that.
know exactly how they're going about it. The only other DC project that they have at the CW that's new going on right now is Naomi.
Really, they're doing the Bendis story.
Mhm.
Wow.
And the only other one that they had potentially was the new Wonder Girl, Yara Flor, I believe her name is.
Yeah, that's going on HBO Max.
No, they canceled.
Yeah. I'm saying it was supposed to be HBO Max
or the CW, but they canceled it. She's new.
So,
she's a blank slate. We just have a potential story with her. But instead, they did not want to go that route.
So my thought though is if they did do another show, like I said, I would prefer to be Constantine, and then bring back Swamp Thing in there as a guest star.
Swamp
do an episode.
Thing.
There's so many shows they could do, but they limit to what they want to do. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a Green Lantern show going on at HBO Max if it hasn't been canceled yet. So they can't do that. But and Arrow's over.
They have, and they canceled they didn't order the series, Green Arrow and the Canaries that they were trying to set up.
It was supposed, it wasn't Green Arrow. It was supposed to be the Canaries.
Yeah, but they canceled that too. So I'm wondering if we're reaching an end to the CW TV, and if so, I'm a little disappointed because while there are crappy shows, there's also the good in there. I could watch another season of Legends of Tomorrow right now. I want it right now because it's just fun. It's enjoyable. And they have these different angles that they can take, but they refuse to.
I'm just trying to think of, for those listening, who would you want to see a show of if we do a new superhero show for the DC Comics? Is there anybody you're looking forward to seeing? We've already, because on the big screen, they got Batman, but they're already doing a Batwoman. They're probably not going to do a Batman show. And I thought maybe Aquaman show, but then they're like, they probably won't do that. I'm trying to think what other characters they could probably put in there.
Yeah, I mean, they have options that they could reach, but I just think that they are reaching a point where they're like, okay, maybe it's time to just cut back.
And then thoughts on the whole Snyderverse, how great that cut is. People are like, are they going to continue the Snyderverse? Probably not. But then maybe they will. The Snyderverse was released on the HBO Max. Even originally, they weren't going to release it whatsoever, and that really brought people back. They're like, "Holy crap! We want the Snyderverse. We want a Justice League, another movie. Keep it going." Because right now they got the Batman Matt Reeves going story coming out. So, would we get a Wonder Woman TV show? It'd probably be a good thing to have right now too. I mean, yeah. If you do it correctly, you allow the character to have room to breathe, you can get a good story.
Well, I think it took the 2017 Justice League for DC to say, okay, yeah, go ahead and make a Superman TV show. We're not doing another movie with them. We are done. But they want to keep Batman towards movies and stuff, and because that just brings in a bigger audience. Even though a Batman TV show would be awesome, they refused to do it. But I think we have said all there is to say about the CW universe, at least at this point. We want to thank everybody so much for joining us, listening in. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like on this video and make sure you're subscribed. So that way you can get more great videos like this one. And if you don't like it, well, go ahead and just tell us why. Tell us. We want to hear you. Speak to us. But speaking for the real Dr. Frankman, thank you for joining me, Bankman, and myself, want to say Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.